Good afternoon, guests and chamber members, and welcome to the Chamber's Legislative Committee sponsored State of the City address. Before we begin, I ask you to please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. I believe, without a doubt, that I can truly say that the state of the city of Ottawa is great. Basically, it began in 1999 when a vision of a young attorney who was elected mayor formed a partnership with the chamber, purchased 536 acres of land to be owned by the city for an industrial park, created an economic development task force, and adopted the brand of Botanical Arts and Gardens, which was greeted by, "What?" But you know what? It all worked. And here we are, 18 years later, still building on that vision and being the envy of our neighbors. To introduce our State of the City presentation and its presenter, I welcome Jay LeSueur of the Chamber's Legislative Committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Boyd. Nice to see you all here this afternoon. Before we get to the mayor's comments, we'll have an opportunity for some question and answer time after the mayor's remarks. On your tables, you'll find slips of paper with pencils and pens, if you would. If you have a question that you'd like addressed to the mayor, jot it down, hold your paper up, and Meg and Crystal will come along and gather those, and we'll quiz the mayor at the end of his talks today. As I talked to some folks day before yesterday when I got back from a little vacation, found out who was going to be coming to this event today, we talked a little bit about how many of these addresses Bob has done. In order 18 maybe? Number 19. It's become quite the institution. And you know, Ottawa being a small town, like any small town, tight community, everybody knows everybody else. Rumors get started. And I got wind of a rumor that maybe the mural program was going to be resurrected again. And then another rumor came along that said that the State of the City addresses would be the next subject of the new mural. So it's become quite the institution. So please welcome the Mayor of Ottawa, the Honorable Robert Eschbach.
Example of how rumors are not true. I'm used to people saying, well, he's crazy, but my advice to anybody is, you know, you need to do what you think is right, and it really doesn't matter what other people think. Once you realize that, life is easy. So I want to thank you all for being here. Thank the Chamber for holding the State of the City event. Actually, by statute, the mayor is required to report on the State of the City annually, and I use this luncheon as my opportunity to do that. So I also put it in writing so that it's a record at City Hall. I'm going to be do something a little bit different this year because it would be impossible, I think, to report on the last 12 months without talking about the tornado event that occurred in February. So I'm going to talk about that in a little bit of detail, which means I'm cutting some of the other comments short and not mentioning anybody's name, or hardly anybody's name, including the council and all of the important people in this room who really have done things that I probably should, but I'm going to kind of condense that. There's more to the speech than what I'm going to say. It'll be online. And then there's also an appendix. We time to time ask different companies to give us an update on exciting things happening in their businesses or the hospital, for example. And I just don't have time to go through all of those, but they are in the appendix. And you're welcome to go online and read that. So, let me begin. And I want to thank Tammy, too, who make this a little bit more interesting by providing photographs that I think are pretty effective. And Kim is my assistant who helped put the speech together. Anyway, on Tuesday, February 28th, 2017, at 4:41 p.m., an EF3 tornado touched down in the area just west of Buffalo Rock State Park. The first area of significant damage was around the LaSalle County Nursing Home and the LaSalle County Highway Department, which was essentially flattened. The tornado continued into Nate Plate, producing widespread damage to dozens of homes. Moving south and east, it struck the Pilkington Glass Factory, destroying a 400,000 square foot portion of that facility. The tornado crossed the Illinois River and moved through the south side of Ottawa, causing widespread damage to businesses and homes. The tornado then crossed the river again to the north and destroyed several homes along Canal Road and downed 31 power poles in that area. As it exited Ottawa, it dissipated in an area northwest of Marseilles. The tornado's path was 11.5 miles long, 800 yards wide, with winds as high as 155 miles per hour. It ended 18 minutes after it touched down at 4:59 p.m. In the immediate aftermath, our first responders performed flawlessly. In a matter of minutes, the police had secured the affected area. More than 60 officers from over 20 different agencies responded. There was no theft or looting, and contractor fraud was virtually eliminated. 21 fire departments, 2 technical rescue teams, 130 firefighters, 18 ambulances, 30 paramedics or EMTs, and MABUS teams that provided lighting towers were deployed that evening. The fire department deployed on foot, and by midnight had performed search and rescue for every household in the area. They effected dozens of rescues as people were trapped in automobiles and buildings. Sadly, 2 people died and dozens were injured. But after viewing the damage, I could not believe that there were not more injuries. It was impossible to navigate the streets with downed power lines, trees, and building debris. That evening and into the early morning hours, all efforts were focused on clearing the streets. A massive mutual aid effort was conducted, and that included our MABUS group, which is our fire mutual aid, ILEAS, ILEAS, which is our police department, or police mutual aid, and the Illinois Public Works Mutual Aid Network, which provides public works assistance. And we had just joined that organization a few years ago, and it turned out to be absolutely the right decision. But anyway, these organizations allowed our city to confront and resolve the multitude of problems in the immediate aftermath of the disaster. And of course, I want to thank all of those who unselfishly gave of their time. This is Tuesday. Remarkably, by Wednesday, late in the day, the streets were passable. Ameren had deployed 450 linemen gathered from all over the country. By Friday, almost all of the power was restored, and they worked around the clock. The aid we received as a result of our membership in the Illinois Public Works Mutual Aid Network was amazing. Our Public Works Director, Gary Scott, received a call within minutes of the touchdown, and crews and equipment from 4 agencies, or cities and communities, were in Ottawa by 9 o'clock that evening. By the second day, 6 agencies were on the ground, with 3 tree crews, with chippers, 2 aerial trucks, and 9 dump trucks. In the end, over 13 days, Public Works Mutual Aid provided 3,238 man-hours, with equipment utilization valued at over $150,000. And we don't pay for that. These individual communities that belong to this mutual aid pay their people to be here, as we would, and we will if we're ever called upon to help someone else. The initial estimate of residential units affected was around 500 buildings. Since the storm, our building department has issued about 1,000 storm-related building permits. There was also significant damage outside the path of the tornado, mostly from hail and high winds. PetSmart lost a 1 million square foot roof to hail damage. As of today, we are tracking about $38.5 million in storm-related damage, and this doesn't include the Pilkington factory. Speaking of which, last year I was pleased to highlight the major commitment to Ottawa that Pilkington had made with a $25 million investment in a new replacement batch plant. I want to again focus on Pilkington for a moment. Pilkington is hoping to be back in full operation by mid-December. In addition to the extensive tornado repairs, the company has also expedited the planned rebuild of the melting furnace while updating ancillary equipment, both which are additional major investments. Yet despite being out of production for nearly 9 months, Pilkington has not laid off one single person, not one. And I am proud to recognize Pilkington as a truly outstanding Ottawa corporate citizen. During the aftermath of the immediate recovery, the American Institute of Architects deployed teams of engineers and architects to assist our building department with damage assessments. Inside of 3 days, they evaluated more than 200 seriously damaged buildings. Shortly after, the Illinois Department of Natural Resources deployed its urban forestry strike team to assist in evaluating the damage to our urban tree canopy. They have since forwarded a very detailed report with recommendations that we will benefit from as we continue our long-term recovery. Both of these organizations have participated in recovery efforts after tornadoes in other communities, and both noted how well Ottawa responded and recovered in comparison with other communities. As the long-term recovery moves forward, I am pleased and proud of how this community shoulders such a catastrophic loss. There are so many instances of people helping people and generosity toward those less fortunate. Within days of the disaster, and with the assistance of the staff of the North Central Illinois Council of Governments and the Ottawa Chamber, a crisis hotline was set up and arrangements were made to use the former Walmart property on the north side as a donation center and a multiple agency resource center. Initially, 331 requests for assistance following the tornado were received. The needs of at least half of those cases were met by one or more of the dozen of volunteer service organizations that arrived in Ottawa and ate play. Some the same night, some in the following days of the tornado, such as T. Rubicon, Disaster Relief Services Initiative, the American Red Cross, the Salvation Army, and numerous religious affiliated organizations. The community quickly rose to the task of providing monetary support to tornado victims. Individuals and agencies have raised over $300,000. The funds are being ministered to the Starbrook Country Community Foundation. A special funders forum committee was appointed by Mayor Rick and myself. That committee reviews all claims and recommendations and recommends disbursements to those in need. To date, about half of that collected money has been dispersed to those truly in need. The long-term recovery group continues to meet weekly. Its case managers are working with homeowners and submitting cases for approval to the funders forum. The Starbrook Community Foundation releases payment within 24 to 48 hours of notification of application approval. But donations are still needed as there are several large requests for assistance still pending. The long-term recovery group continues to work to provide needed services and funding for Ottawa and Maple Lake residents in need. One interesting program that occurred several months after the tornado was called Camp Noah, and that was actually held in August, and it was conducted by the long-term recovery group. And it's designed to aid children in the area who were affected and even traumatized by the tornado. The camp, with materials provided by Lutheran Social Services, was 5 days long and taught children how to acknowledge their fears and implement strategies, and they were given storm preparation backpacks to help them face those fears in the future. We had confirmation that the camp was successful on day 5 when one of the kindergarten children stood up and informed the class that he had used his backpack to get his family into their safe space during a severe storm which took place on day 4 of this camp. The camp was a huge success, would not have been possible without the many volunteers who donated an entire week of their time to help these children know they were safe at home and in their community. You know, there were some silver linings, so to speak, following the tornado. Many homes ended up in better condition than they were before the tornado. There are some beautiful brand new homes under construction. And at the United Auto Workers Center on the south side, a new, bigger and better hotel is rising where the older motel-type building was destroyed. Also, as a result of the IDNR strike team's work that I mentioned before, Ottawa has received 2 grants to help replace trees in the tornado area. The first is a $5,000 grant from Trees Forever, and the second a $14,000 grant from the Morton Arboretum. And I'm pleased to have the opportunity today to announce a major Ottawa tornado relief grant from the Illinois Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity. This grant is for $534,000 to allow the city to repair its many streets damaged by the tornado. City staff and Kevin Lindeman from North Central Illinois Council of Governments deserve a good deal of credit for helping with the application process. However, a huge amount of credit for this grant goes out to Jeff Torricelli, the city's Springfield lobbyist and consultant, who began making Ottawa's case for funding to the state on the very morning after the tornado hit. Is Jeff here today? Yeah. Would you stand up, Jeff? Thank you very much for your efforts. So much more can be said about how this community came together in response to this tragic event. Unlike my past addresses, I'm not mentioning a lot of names, I guess I've already said that. Suffice it to say, I am very grateful for and proud of all of our city employees, our neighboring communities, and our citizens who rose to the occasion and continue to do so to this very day. Thank you all. Now I'd like to talk a little bit about our city economic development efforts. As I said last year, we basically have a three-pronged approach. We are promoting our industrial park and our industrial sites on the north side of Ottawa. We're promoting commercial, retail, hospitality efforts on North Columbus Street up by Route 80 and as well as on the Norris Drive corridor. And we're trying to promote and develop our downtown. With respect to the industrial park, I think the main thing that is new since last year is that we're in the process of putting together a very aggressive website for the industrial park, and we're also working closely with the North Central Illinois Economic Development Corporation, which is a newly formed multi-county regional group that promotes sites in the three-county area to site selectors and potential developers. And I serve as a member on that board, and it's one example of how the communities are starting to work together regionally to be more effective. There's a group that has a similar but different mission, and that is the Starbuck Country Alliance, which not only is looking at site selection, but tourism and education and other things that we can promote better as a group, as a region, than as individual communities. Let me talk a little bit about the growth on the north side. Steady growth continues on the north side of Ottawa and in the I-80 and Norris Drive corridors. Some of the growth there included the following: the Gailey Eye Clinic, which has just opened a beautiful new facility with plenty of parking on West Stevenson Road. The Comfort Inn has undergone a major facility upgrade and looks very nice. Verizon's new standalone retail store at Columbus and Etna Road is nearly complete. The Dairy Queen Chill and Grill, which I've checked out, opened earlier this summer to much fanfare. The new CVS store, now under construction at Columbus and Norris Drive, will bolster pharmaceutical competition in Ottawa. The rebuild of the McDonald's on Norris Drive has gone very quickly. The new McDonald's should be open in about a week and will feature a more efficient drive-through pattern. And finally, nearby is the new location of the Family Video Store. The city's ongoing efforts to preserve its historic commercial buildings and beautify the downtown continue to fuel rapid growth. Ottawa has truly become a regional destination for unique shopping and dining. We have some very exciting projects going on right now in downtown. The major historic commercial building renovation project underway is the transformation of the Carson Peary Scott and the Woolworth buildings into new retail, dining, and eventually an event space by CL Enterprises. This $5 million plus project will create thousands of square feet of retail or restaurant space on the ground floors of the Carson and Woolworth buildings. Some of this new space will open onto Jackson Street across from Washington Square. The second floor of the Carson building will be transformed into a 13,000 square feet of event space to be used for events from everything from weddings to theater to other entertainment. A wonderful aspect will be the opening of this second floor space onto the roof of the adjacent Woolworth building, which will feature perhaps a bar or cafe along with a rooftop garden, all overlooking beautiful Washington Square. Interior demolition will soon be underway with completion of this project scheduled for sometime next summer. In order to complement this exciting development, the city will be considering the transformation of the 100 block of Jackson Street, which runs along the south edge of Washington Square, into a festival plaza. This project will play a major role in attracting visitors and tourists to the downtown, which are the lifeblood of our shops and restaurants. Another very exciting $1 million plus project is the construction of a new building on the site of the former Little City building. In fact, I'm very pleased today to be able to share some visual concepts for this creative project. The 3-story building will feature retail and restaurant opportunities on the ground floor, plus 5 or 6 very nice loft apartments on the 2nd and 3rd floors. While this architecture is not exactly the traditional Victorian turn-of-the-century type we are used to seeing downtown, it respects the neighboring buildings, is very attractive, and makes a strong statement about downtown Ottawa's progressive spirit. I'm very pleased to have with us today the investors who are making both of these worthwhile projects possible. Let me introduce Inga Karras, the C of CL Enterprises, and her husband Peter Limburger, the L. Also with us are Nathan Watson, the General Manager for Real Estate Development at CL Enterprises, who I know provides much of the inspiration and energy behind these projects. So, Inga, gentlemen, who stand. We're very lucky. Downtown beautification efforts continue to move ahead with 2 major projects. The first is the Columbus Street Streetscape project, if any of you have noticed. The southern entrance to downtown Ottawa will be dramatically enhanced with the completion of the current streetscape project on Columbus Street from Maine to Lafayette. This project is funded largely with an $800,000 grant and will feature more than 20 new trees, hundreds of beautiful perennial plants and sidewalks and bump-out planting beds, and the installation of historic period lighting. Although this is an IDOT rather than a City of Ottawa managed project, we're still hoping that it'll be completed soon. And I can say that, except we're not exactly sure when the lights are going to arrive, but all the bases and everything are in place. But the rest of the work should be done, the construction work should be done in a matter of a few days. Also, new this year is what I call a Canal Street art trail and bike path. It runs along Canal Street from Madison Street north to the Canal towpath. This 7-block walking trail is under construction with 4 blocks completed or nearly completed. It will have attractive landscaping and will feature a variety of pieces of public art. Already it boasts a beautiful butterfly garden planted by the Ottawa Master Gardeners, as well as a display of local architectural artifacts from the old St. Xavier School and Convent, which was demolished decades ago. Ultimately, this new trail will connect the canal with the Illinois riverfront. Another project of note is the development of the parking lot adjacent to AT&T and along this bike path. What do I have here? The 400 block West Madison, all right. I'm very pleased to be able to report the revitalization of downtown continues to move forward with the attraction of these new businesses. Rubenesque, which is a plus-size fashion boutique located on the southwest corner of LaSalle and Jefferson, which seems to have found an underrepresented niche in the Ottawa market. A Mess of Things across the street features at least a dozen vendors offering vintage, shabby chic, repurposed and recycled home decor, clothes, accessories, and many more items at the southeast corner of that intersection. Christine's Shower, which is a local family business, offers handmade, richly scented skin products such as bath bombs. In fact, I've been told this business has made by hand more than 1 million bath bombs during its existence. It is located at the southwest corner of LaSalle and Main Street and smells quite nice. Juniper and May and Milk Mustache is a very attractive and successful boutique and children's apparel store, which has expanded from its Princeton location to Ottawa at 721 LaSalle Street. Iconic is a boutique which has relocated to 617 LaSalle Street and expanded its offerings to include children's apparel, located in a historic commercial building beautifully restored by Mike Godfrey. Say I Do and More is a one-stop shop for all event planning needs, especially weddings, offering affordable, high-quality photography, decorating, and baking services. It is located on West Main Street next to Christine's Shower. Downtown Nutrition promotes its mission of encouraging healthy lifestyles, by offering delicious and nutritional shakes, teas, nutritional bars, and more located in the 200 block of West Main. And the Pink Chihuahua is an intriguing restaurant at the northeast corner of LaSalle and Madison, which prides itself on creating works of food art with tapas or small bites, along with unique entrees of American, Spanish, and other European foods. Timeless will be opening within the next few weeks in the former Row House Restaurant Building, another beautifully restored historic building, and it will feature farmhouse vintage and rustic decor items. Heart by Hand will be opening in the spring of 2018 at the corner of Clinton and Main. Hank and Caroline Wolf, who have moved to Ottawa from the Chicago area, are putting an incredible amount of time and money to beautifully restore this building, which will feature a wide range of art-related merchandise and services, as well as new high-quality downtown residential living on the second floor. In addition to these new businesses, the Tangled Roots Brewing Company has taken a major expansion step by doubling its downtown brewing capacity, establishing a bottling operation in the Carson Building, and distributing its Ottawa brewed craft beers across much of Illinois, including the Quad Cities, Bloomington Normal, the Peoria area, the western suburbs, and even places like the Norway Store. Clearly, downtown Ottawa has become the heart and soul of our Ottawa community. The success, though it is through its many unique shops and restaurants, depends heavily upon an ever-increasing number of visitors and tourists. One of the most effective means of attracting these new visitors and introducing them to Ottawa is through festivals and celebrations. While our established festivals continue to do well, let me focus on a couple new ones. First is the Starved Rock Country Brew Fest. This brand new craft beer event was launched on the Saturday Memorial Day weekend this year. It attracted more than 800 craft beer lovers, many of them from the Chicago area, who paid up to $40 for admission tickets. They enjoyed 60 different craft beers produced by 30 breweries. The city was greatly assisted by a consultant who puts together many of these major craft beer festivals in the Chicago area. Last year I told you about plans for a new Kris Kringle Market, which was held during the first weekend of December on Jackson Street next to Washington Square. Since this event proved to be a great success, even featuring some evening snowfall to add to the holiday ambience, we are significantly expanding the event this year. It will be held on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday of both the first and second weekends of December. The number of unique vendors and traditional wooden huts has doubled to 20. I want to thank the carpenters of Carpenters Local 195 Apprenticeship Program and the Illinois Valley Labor Management for stepping forward and donating their time and talent to construct the 10 new huts for this event. And I believe somewhere Dave Augenbright, the business agent for the Carpenters Union, is present. Dave, would you stand, please? I can't see out there. I assume he stood. Thank you. An important part of the market will be the holiday atmosphere, unique handcrafted gifts and works of art, German and Mexican holiday foods and beverages, delicious baked goods, holiday season music, hot roasted chestnuts, wonderful decorations, and new city light pole banners, thousands of lights, strolling carolers in period costume, horse-drawn rides, reindeer, and more. As the Kris Kringle Market continues to grow, I expect it to be the centerpiece of our efforts to make downtown Ottawa the best place throughout Starved Rock Country to shop for unique and special Christmas gifts. I invite everyone to encourage their family and friends to join us for a wonderful holiday season in downtown Ottawa. A significant part of our downtown success is due to the improved appearance of our many commercial buildings. Many of these improvements have been supported by the city's Facade Improvement Program, which is funded through our downtown TIP. And it provides matching grants to building owners who are willing to invest in the improvement of their facades in the downtown commercial buildings. The most recent example of a facade improvement is the Buckner Tool Building in the 200 block of West Madison. By the way, this company did not take advantage of the program, and they did this on their own. Still have to put the doors in, but it's really a beautiful project. I'm pleased to report today that the downtown facade investment spurred by the partnership with the city has increased steadily from about $95,000 in 2014 and 15 to $310,000 in the current 16-17 timeframe. Altogether, since the program's beginning, more than $1 million of improvements have been encouraged. These are facade improvements with a number of projects in the works. Ottawa continues to benefit from steady growth in its tourism industry, which is critically important for the success of many, especially in our downtown. Given Ottawa's position as the gateway to Starved Rock Country, its proximity to Chicago, and status as a destination for unique shopping and dining, the case can easily be made for tourism to be Ottawa's fastest growing industry. This assumption is supported by 2016 tourism economic impact statistics for LaSalle County, which show that in the county, tourists spent more than $189 million, while here, supporting 1,400 jobs, providing $13 million in payroll, and generating $3.7 million in LaSalle County local tax revenues. The Ottawa Visitor Center continues to play a key role in promoting Ottawa tourism. It had some major accomplishments this year. It was recognized as at the Illinois Excellence in Tourism Awards dinner for, first of all, best social media marketing for its live Facebook entries at the Riverfest, and secondly, for the best tourism marketing campaign in the under $500,000 budget category for its live buffalo, no bull campaign. The Travels with Darlie program is a popular travel show hosted by Darlie Newman and viewed by millions of people on PBS television and on the web. In fact, her show is carried by 96% of the PBS channels in the United States. Thanks to the work of Kurt Badai at the Visitor Center, he brought Darlie to Ottawa to produce a program in Ottawa and to film segments of a show throughout the area. Since May, via social media, video, and travel websites, this Ottawa and Beyond episode has reached 52 million impressions, giving Ottawa major visibility. Interestingly, at the Visitor Center, inquiries about Ottawa from people who have just moved to Ottawa, or in the process of moving to Ottawa, or considering Ottawa have significantly increased from just a couple per month to more than 20 per month. It is my understanding that similar inquiries have increased at the Ottawa Chamber also. Perhaps more than ever, the Readyq Mansion, with its beautiful grounds and growing number of sponsored events, is a popular tourism destination. It remains the crown jewel of Ottawa's historic architectural heritage. I'm very pleased to be able to say this year that the City of Ottawa and the Readyq Mansion Association, after prolonged negotiations, have reached a landmark agreement about the mansion's future. The city has transferred ownership of the mansion to the association. In return, the association has agreed to move quickly to begin the effort to properly restore the mansion exterior. The association has lovingly restored and tended to the mansion for decades, and I know the Readyq Mansion Association will fully embrace its new role and continue this vital commitment for many decades to come. Last year I told you the riverboat American Duchess was going to come to Ottawa, and it didn't. So I wasn't going to talk about it this year, but in Sunday's Tribune there's a whole page about the American Duchess, and it talks about how it's going to be coming to Ottawa, and they're going to be visiting the Lincoln Douglas sites, and basically this American Duchess cruise has a Lincoln theme, and they'll be starting in Ottawa, working their way down the river, Havana, work their way to Hannibal, Missouri, and then eventually end in St. Louis, and then the return trip will be another group of people coming back, and Ottawa will be where they disembark. So it looks like that's going to happen. It'll be in August. There'll be several trips, and we're looking forward to the opportunity to introducing several hundred cruise participants on each cruise to downtown Ottawa and our Lincoln sites. I wanted to say just a little bit about the Dayton Bluffs Nature Preserve. This was an especially important year for the preserve, as in May the City of Ottawa officially took responsibility for its continued development. The development will be guided by a master plan which focuses on passive outdoor recreation development in partnership with the Conservation Foundation. The creation of the plan featured much public involvement and was guided by Upland Design, a Chicago area company with great expertise in conservation property planning. I would especially like to commend the work of an incredible core of Ottawa area volunteers under the leadership of Dr. Dave Manigault, who have worked very hard to restore the preserve and make such a valuable resource for Ottawa and area residents. And in particular, their work this year in restoring the adjacent Pioneer Cemetery, the final resting place of many very early settlers tragically killed by a cholera epidemic, has been absolutely outstanding. Is Dave here? Okay. Mention American Bloom for a few moments. For the past 5 years, as you probably know, Ottawa has been entered in the American Bloom National Competition and has done very well. Except for the first year, we've received five Bloom rating each year, which is the highest you can receive. Over the years, a number of top national awards have been received, including special recognition last year for the most dynamic transformation of a downtown streetscape. The 2017 American Bloom competition, which just concluded a few weeks ago, was especially successful for Ottawa, which not only won the national championship in its population category, but also the national award across all population categories for historic preservation. Special recognition was also received for the Ottawa is Blooming Committee support of Project Unify at Central School, which focuses on creating an environment for the inclusion of students with intellectual disabilities with the rest of the student body through gardening. And we've been invited over there for the last couple of years to help plant gardens in the spring. I said, there's no way this is going to work. Nobody's going to water it in the summer, but a different family takes a week. They water it, they weed it, they harvest. I also joked around that I never get invited to enjoy the harvest, and this year I got a call to come over and have some zucchini bread that they made from the zucchinis. So, very successful program. Ottawa's participation in the American Bloom program has brought a great deal of national recognition, particularly within the horticulture sector, which has supported our vital tourism industry. It has also encouraged the completion of many projects that have improved our community. Talk maybe a little bit about residential development. Although the residential startups were slightly less this year than last year with 27 new homes, the total dollar value was almost identical to last year at about $6.3 million. On the commercial front, we had a healthy year with 7 new commercial buildings valued at $10 million. Heritage Harbor of Ottawa continues to grow with over $6 million in sales this year. The villas at Heron's Landing are under construction with a new rental product. Called Harbor Cottages, which will soon be released. Under design is an active adult product called Port Place, which will offer an elegant design for those looking to downsize with low maintenance living. Due to full capacity, the marina will soon be adding more boat slips. Sometimes I think Heritage Harbor does not get enough credit for how it benefits Ottawa because of the hundreds of dollars it spends annually in marketing Ottawa and the Starbuck country area. And if you talk to Tammy, she'll tell you we don't sell homes, we sell an experience, and a lot of it has to do with the city and Starbuck country. This is the time when I usually talk about the various city services and what's going on. Again, I'm abbreviating my comments. If you want to read them in detail, you can go online, but I'm going to just mention a few things with respect to Playground and Recreation Board. A couple things that are significant. So we developed pickleball courts at the Lincoln Douglas Complex tennis court, and it appears that they're being used and appreciated by the residents. And also the Ottawa Soccer League is now using the former Central School property, which also seems to be a nice match. With respect to NCAT, with the current year-to-date ridership at over 44,000 rides, it's on pace to provide in excess of 55,000 rides annually to LaSalle County residents. This despite financial delays from the state in funding caused the program to reduce hours and limit rides at the beginning of 2017. Recently, NCAT began providing Medicaid rides, I believe in December. Approximately 4,700 Medicaid approved rides have been provided this year. Medicaid reimbursement provides funding to help keep the NCAT system financially solvent. And ridership continues to show, I think, the enormous need for public transportation in LaSalle County. In the area of public works, one of the things we've done in the last year is buy a lot of equipment. We've purchased, in the last 2 years, we've been increasing the average age of our fleet. Look at this, the average age of our fleet was 1998. We're now up to 2009. And this year we added an additional Vector truck. We replaced six pickup trucks, some of them dating back to 1990. We traded in a loader for a 2017 cat loader. We acquired a 2016 Pelican sweeper, street sweeper, and a 2016 crane service truck. So we're in the process of finally trying to get caught up on replacing some very outdated equipment. The 2017 street paving program this year, including resurfacing of 45 blocks along 15 different streets. Additionally, we did about 22 blocks of curb replacement, 25 sidewalk ramps, and 2 Brick Street intersection restorations on the east side, all at a cost of about $1.4 million. In the Water Division of Public Works, we completed a north water loop installation on East Etna Road. This is a very major project. It looped our water system all the way from roughly where Thornton's gas station is, all the way out to the Autumnwood subdivision. So it provides 2 ways of getting water to those areas. We also are working on our south side water main replacement project, which is about 90% complete. And also working on our Oak Lane water extension, extending water to the Oak Lane subdivision. As those people tap on and become contiguous, they will annex into the city of Ottawa. Some happenings in the down at the sewer plant include the completion of the flood wall levee around the plant. What else do I have here? I mean, if you want to know about sludge ponds and all kinds of things, you can go to this. In the fire department, we also were able to acquire some new equipment this year. We had delivery in May of a new E1 fire engine, and also that month delivery of a Clark custom boat for river responses. And the Ottawa Fire Department is working with the Wallace Fire Protection District and the Naples Fire Department searching for a training site location, be a joint training location. So if anyone has any suggestions regarding a potential site, don't hesitate to give Chief Steve Haywood a call. Last year, the Ottawa Fire Department responded to this is fiscal year or calendar year 2016, 4,220 calls, which was a record. In the police department, we had some promotions and so forth, which are also in the report. One thing I want to point out that most recently the police department has created and implemented a crisis intervention team. All employees will be trained by the end of 2018. This training better equips officers and telecommunicators in handling calls for services dealing with the mentally ill and helping start a process in developing long-term plans for those in need of additional services. There's a real nice summary of city finances that our city treasurer, Don Harris, prepared for us. Again, you can take a look at that. Basically, it says everything's okay. But there were a couple things I thought were noteworthy. One is that our sales tax revenues are accounting for an increasing portion of the city's general fund tax revenues. So that's important. That's money that we and other visitors to the community are spending in sales taxes that come back to support the city. Also of note is that the equalized assessed valuation, which forms the basis of property tax revenues, is projected to increase this coming year for the first time for the third time in a row after 5 prior years of successive modest declines. So when the recession hit, there wasn't a lot of development. Property values decreased, but now we've got more development. And values are increasing and assessments have increased, which helps us in our collection of taxes. And finally, he noted that the city has consistently funded each of its employee pension funds and those obligations to the actuarial recommended amounts. So we're doing our duty to make sure that when our retirees retire, they're going to get their checks. Few Ottawa projects over the years have been more exciting to me than the work being done to restore and rewater a major portion of the Ingham Canal through Ottawa, roughly from Fulton to Guyan Streets. Looking at this photo of a restored canal in Indiana will give you a sense of just how impressive this stretch of the canal can look in Ottawa in the near future. Without a doubt, the beautifully restored canal will be a significant tourism attraction. However, even more importantly, it will provide a whole new realm of outdoor recreation for the people of Ottawa. Canoeing, kayaking, paddle boating, ice skating, even model powerboat racing, and more will all be wonderful outdoor activities, not to mention the creation of a much stronger and more widespread understanding of the vital role the canal has played in the history of Ottawa and the nation. This is a project I'm deeply committed to. I talked about rewatering the canal at my first State of the City speech 19 years ago. At the time, I said, I'm very proud of this, I said, the canal without water is like a ham sandwich without the ham. I thought it was very profound. Anyway, I hope next year at this time we can all dip our toes into the waters of the canal. This rewatering project would be expensive if the city had to pay for it all, but I'm very pleased to report that we are making very good progress in obtaining in-kind commitments for significant portions of the project. First, an engineering unit from the United States Army Reserve, supported by a contingent of U.S. Marines, will be in Ottawa next summer to use their heavy equipment to move tons of earth to restore the original shape of the canal bed. This will be an official, federally funded training exercise approved by the Pentagon. This commitment alone is worth several hundred thousands of dollars. And I can tell you that next week we're supposed to have 10 representatives from the Army and Marines in Ottawa to scout out the project. Of course, the key to the success of the project will be a source of continual freshwater flow into the canal. At the moment, U.S. Silica Company directs its completely clean discharge water into the canal, where it flows to the west and eventually the Illinois River. The company has agreed to let us pump a portion of that water eastward to rewater the canal. U.S. Silica will also assist with the pipe needed to convey the water. As the canal is owned by the Illinois Department of Natural Resources, a permit needs to be obtained from this agency. Up until now, McClure Engineering has, on a volunteer basis, provided a preliminary engineering plan, donating over $25,000 of their time. Now the City Council has hired McClure Engineering to complete the design. And over the past years, various contractors and representatives of building trades have indicated a willingness to donate labor and equipment for the rewatering project. I hope in the next few months we can reconnect and firm up commitments. We will need a trench and a pipeline, pour concrete, install a pump, and a variety of other work where donated time, talent, equipment, and materials will be appreciated. Finally, there are some things that will have to be paid for, like boring the pipeline under several railroad crossings. For those who can't contribute to this in-kind project, I just want to say that cash is always gratefully accepted, and I hope everyone will help consider supporting this effort. Next year is the 200th anniversary of Illinois statehood. The canal played a big role in the development of Illinois and the city of Ottawa. Let's make this a community project, a bicentennial project, and let's get it done. And I will provide ham sandwiches for everybody. I'd like to conclude my remarks by sharing what I call a little happy moment that occurred last week. But before I do that, I received a happy moment this morning. These are just little things that happen that people contact me or send me something or whatever about the city. This morning, I received this in the mail, which came from Bob Castera and Farley Anderson, who are playing around with the idea of lighting the colonnade. So they got their lights out and did some experimentation, I believe, last night, and I received that today. But the happy moment that I wanted to talk about occurred last week when I was invited to join my friends Bob and Judy Castera for a brew at the Lone Buffalo to celebrate Bob's birthday. Judy then took us across the street in front of the Roxy Theater and presented to her husband a memorial bench that she purchased in his honor. On the bronze plaque is one of Bob's famous one-liners, a sentiment I think most of us share. Any day in Ottawa is better than most elsewhere. That's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, the lines are open. But anybody has a question, hold your hand up, and Crystal and Meg will come by. I was handed a couple of questions here. One is on tourism, and I think you answered in your remarks there, but here's another question for you. Where do you see the city of Ottawa in 10 years?
This is where I get to dream. This is where things are. People really think the mayor's crazy. But I think the canal is going to have a real impact also on economic development sense. I think people want to build around it. They want to have apartments or houses overlooking the canal. And I think we have an opportunity to develop the lateral canal, maybe not as a canal, but with some water feature which runs along Canal Street there. We've got the big green strip that we're developing now that can also encourage development around there. And the idea is to not grow through sprawl, but look inward and infill our empty spaces and replace decaying properties with new properties. I don't see the city as being 40,000 people or anything like that. I think what makes Ottawa, we always need to grow, but I think one of the things that makes Ottawa unique is the atmosphere you have in a town of 20 or 30,000 people. And I'm hoping that there are improvements, but I'm also hoping that a lot of things don't change. I guess that's how I'll answer that question.
Where can contributions be made for the rewatering project?
Just send them to City Hall for now and make sure you note on there what it's for, and we'll keep that in a separate fund. Or you can give me a check as we leave. How much you forget? Anything else? All right.
Thank you, sir.
19 down. On to go.
Please welcome the Chairman of the Board of Directors of the Ottawa Area Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Mr. Rob Hasty.
Thank you. First, I'd like to just thank Mayor Bob again. Despite a catastrophic event in our community within the last year, it's reassuring to know that the state of our city is strong and that it continues to grow stronger. A large portion of this is due to the people that are right here in this room. So on behalf of the Ottawa Area Chamber of Commerce, our community, and myself, I want to thank all of you. And with that, I hope to see you all back for Mayor Bob's 20th State of the Union address. Thank you.
And that wraps up the program. Thank you all for being here this afternoon.